You all look good in there. If not, let's move it. Move it. Move it. I can't see. Yes, good.
Yeah.
He's back. He comes back.
He's back.
He's back.
Yeah.
So if you want to go back on,
We can come on back.
Now. 5, 4, 3.
We're back with Bishop, and that's my What's Going On for my Love is Possible CD, where you can download at Amazon, at Spotify, Pandora. We're on all streaming, so make sure that you check us out. So Bishop, now can you got it? You got your earphones?
I can't even find the earphones at work. They're changing the furniture in my bedroom, okay, and putting a new bed in there that was supposed to put this morning. So I'm getting in and out. Okay, but I have earphones, but they don't have the kind.
Well, we hear you good, and you hear us now, right?
I hear you better than I do Ed, but it's not as you were very crisp and right there when we first came on. I hear you very, very clearly. Then it went quiet. Then you came back very crisp, and now you're gone again.
We're working it out. Okay.
I think y'all prejudiced. You're doing that because I'm black.
That's our Carlton. Carlton, while we got you on it, we're gonna do it live too. Wilda said to give you her love because I called and told her that you were going on with us today. And of course, you know Pam. I tried to get Pam to even join us today, but she was a little busy. But yeah, Pam, you know, everybody sends their love to you. We all miss you.
I can't wait to come and see everybody. I miss y'all so much. You have no idea.
Tell us a little bit. Well, yeah, that's what I'm fixing to do. Yeah, we want you to just tell us a little bit about what you have coming up and what you're doing now that things are kind of lifting. What do you have coming up?
I'm going to do something like this with StreamYard where I have guests and run video. I like interactive Facebook and Instagram, but I'm doing StreamYard, like just like you all are doing. Yeah. And I'm going to have guests like I would have you on them and sing and, you know, play the music and discuss it and what you were thinking. I want to do that really badly. So I normally do mine on Monday nights, but I'm going to start doing it live with a lot of interesting guests.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah. Talk about current events, and digital is the way to go. I mean, cyberspace.
It looks like that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. Even church folk that have gotten used to sitting at home watching, enjoying church. I mean, these guys, they may never go back weekly like we once did, fighting, parking, and trying to find seats. You sit at home and enjoy the Lord, sitting there in your drawers, and you just enjoy the Lord. And here's the word: you don't have to get dressed.
You know what? That's why I love Bishop Carlton Pearson, because he's always so real. And so, I mean, you just him. I love that.
I'm on
so what is your take on,
you
touched a little bit on that. Do you think that the churches will fully open up again?
Well, they'll open, but they're going to have to see how the crowd responds because we don't know how they will. If they'll just, I don't think people will go regularly. We miss the connection. Yes. We need that human social connection and the spiritual connection, the central and sexual part of the human being. All of that's part of worship. Yes. It seems weird, but it is. I mean, we are emotional and devotional and commotional as people. So until the churches become a little bit more relevant in that sense, because since the churches have been closed, people have been listening to things like this. They've been going online. They've been hearing new information. They've gotten really curious and adventurous, and they don't want the traditional anymore. They don't want somebody to just quote a couple of scriptures and hoop and holler. And, you know, that generation was big in the 20th century, as you both know. But I think we're dealing with these millennials sorry, I'm doing some work here in the house. That have a different perspective. They're asking questions, answering questions, and then questioning answers.
Yeah.
That's the new way. Make sure you know how to use that remote instead of because I don't.
Bishop, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great thing. It's uncomfortable we've mastered our way for the 20th century. We've come a long way. We've accomplished a lot as a nation, and particularly as people of color. When we were kids, we had 3 TV stations, and there was never any black commentators. We might have see Ella Fitzgerald, sometimes Stephen Fetchit, Amos and Andy, Louis Armstrong, a few blacks. Now it's just hundreds and hundreds of very talented, articulate, intelligent experts on all kinds of subjects. And so we have commentators that are really dealing with the issues of science and technology and philosophy and politics and religion. I'm really excited about what we're seeing. It looks
streaming.
Huh?
It is streaming now.
Yes, it's streaming, and it's the information highway.
Yeah.
So anybody that's ignorant today, you ignorant on purpose. You're doing that on your own because it's too much information for you to be ignorant.
Yeah.
Which means that doesn't mean you're not knowing, but you're not noticing what's here, and you're not making note of. We used to sing when we were children with this cell phone. Before the cell phone, we sing, he got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole wide world in his hand. He's got the whole. But if you got a cell phone, you got the whole world in your hand. You got the whole wide world. Anything. Old folks like us don't even know how to use it, but these kids can pick that. They can find addresses, ages. They just find words.
Just Google.
Google. I know.
For anything that you want, anything you want to look up. I mean, young people even doing that with exams now. They the answers.
Yes.
But I love the way you put that, Carlton. You got put your cell phone in your hand.
You got the whole
wide world in your hand.
In your hand. Yep.
I was telling my grandson that, I said, anybody that doesn't get straight A's these days is stupid. I said, you have to got the answers of that right there in your hand.
In your hand. You don't have to go to the library. You don't have to have a library card. You don't have to check out no book and have to pay when you don't turn it in on time. Right. A lot of people are making a whole lot of money without even going to college. Yeah, they're making 6-figure salaries without a high school. Some of them don't even have a high school diploma. I'm not encouraging that, but I'm fine. I'm saying these young people are very creative, very curious, very adventurous, and they're taking matters in their own hands.
They're using their God-given gifts.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
And I think that's very important, really.
It is.
They're becoming writers. Look at the young lady, the poet that got up at Biden's.
At the inaugural. I know it.
She the next month she was on Vogue.
Uh-huh. And nobody knew who she was prior to that. Absolutely. She had a command and she wasn't arrogant. She was confident and powerful and stately and elegant. And we were so proud of her.
Yes. So what do you think, Carlton, Bishop, about Biden's new layout?
I like everything pretty much that he's doing because he's quickly reversing the curse of the past administration, the cussing and the cursing. He's doing things that are aggressive. I'm not comfortable about what's happening in Afghanistan right now as far as withdrawing all the troops and putting people, exposing them to possible ISIS torture. I think he's having to back off on a little bit of that, but mostly what he's doing, I know the country's going into debt, but Trump did, I think, $3 trillion in debt before he got out. So they're acting like this guy's doing all this harm, but he's giving us a sense of hope, Biden is. He's helping people that were desperate financially, that couldn't eat, they didn't know how they were going to pay their rent. There's a compassion in this man because he lost his wife and the daughters, lost his son. He seems to identify with our pain. It's not just about love, it's about compassion. Compassion means you feel my pain. It's co-passion. This president, you may not like all of his policies, but he does have a sense of the pain of people. The parents that are stressed over losing their children. A lot of the people who say they're pro-life are not really pro-life. They're just pro-birth. If you're pro-life, You don't support a regime that snatches babies out of their mother's hands and puts them in cages. Biden brings in this sympathetic, empathetic, compassionate spirit that makes us feel like Washington really does care about the little guys, the poor people, the hungry people, the small businesses, and that kind of thing. This flashy, flamboyant, rich billionaire mentality was ugly and arrogant. And that's not the spirit of our country. No. There are a lot of wealthy business people, men and women, but they're not arrogant and they're not pompous and they're not braggadocious. We don't need that spirit, name calling and all that childish stuff we went through. It exhausted the country. It traumatized us. And I don't want to sound political, but I'm saying I've been here almost 7 decades, and I've never felt this kind of tension. So Biden is bringing in a new, humble, this guy rode the train from his home for 30 years into Washington, D.C. Yes. Politicians don't do that. Right. But he did that. And so he's just a different nature, a different spirit. Kamala is she's in touch differently.
Something the country needed. Now, do you think, because that's what I was thinking about and I think we've talked about this a little bit, as far as more things need to be done where seniors are concerned.
Yeah.
What's your idea on that?
Well, this is the oldest president we've had in a long time. Right. He's very sensitive to senior issues. We don't know that he'll run a second term. He may not want to. Kamala may very well be the first female president of the United States, thanks to her forerunners, all the way back to our lady from Houston, black lady. Oh, can't believe I've forgotten her name. The congresswoman that ran, and of course Hillary. Those women. Kamala stands on their shoulders, but there's a sensitivity toward senior issues because we have a president. Even differently than Obama was young. Biden is a lot older, and he made Obama think of senior citizen issues because Obama was one of the youngest presidents next to Kennedy to take the office. Yes. And he was an excellent president, and he related to the young, but now we have a man who I think relates to both young and old and worked with a young, charming, intelligent, articulate president, and the president respected him, and he now runs things past Obama and respects him. I think this is a beautiful mix.
It is. And he has the opportunity. And then getting a female side of things, I think just adds so much.
Women, it's interesting. Women they are nurturers, they're incubators, they feel, they know how to push something through. The nurturing matriarchal thing is replacing this arrogant patriarchal man-dominated spirit. All the Me Too thing is saying, men, you're not going to get by. We're not going to get by with stuff that we have for not just a century. Men have gotten by with murder. I don't mean literal murder, but mistreating women for millennia. Yes. Since many Christians have gotten King James mixed up with King Jesus. They're not the same. Yeah. They think that they think King James said, "Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature." And he did say that, his translators. But when you say creature, you don't think of humans, you think of animals and rodents. In their minds, we were creatures, Africa, Asia, India. Now there's all these African, Asians, and Indians coming into our country, and the white man is becoming the minority, and he's having a public breakdown. That's what you see. Now, don't get me wrong to make me sound like I'm a racist, because as we used to say, some of my best friends as white people.
We know you, Carlton.
Yeah, all right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, well, see, we're right now. This is America, but it's not the United States. It's the disunited states of America. We've never been more polarized. We've never been more divided. And it really ushered in with the last administration. It was so divisive, and it brought out the worst in us. But now, and we're all tired of that now. We're saying, okay, can't we all just get along? As my mind went blank again, man. And y'all just as blank as I can.
Can we all
Rodney King. That was Rodney King. Can't we all just get along?
Can we all just get along?
Yeah.
Well, I think that, like you said, with everything coming together now, I think it's gonna make a major difference. And women, I'm just so happy about Kamala because women get things done.
Yes. Yeah, women are focused. They're focused. They work harder because more is expected of them. They got to be head and shoulders above a male-dominated culture, which is politics. Yes. We have more women in seminary than men. We have more women in medical school than men, and we may possibly have far more females in the Congress because there are more women in the population.
And they're coming along.
They're coming along. We're going to have to do something to slow y'all down. You're fixing to take over. I don't know what we're going to do.
But they're supposed to take over because we're supposed to be a dual society of both energies that come together to run this planet. So
the future is feminine. Right. The future is feminine.
Yes.
Which is excellent. I believe that change is about to come, and that when things are wrong, they really are right.
Yeah.
They appear wrong, they really are right. Now,
well, see, the idea of Eve being named Eve, her name is Chava in Hebrew, which means living or mother of living. But they translated Eve, which is just a short word for evil or evening, dark, because the first Eve, she actually was interested in the science of good and evil. Adam just wanted to obey, but Eve was curious. She said, if I can be like God by eating of that tree, then I'm going to test the tree because I want to be like God. The serpent said, if you won't die, you'll be like God. Well, to say that if you eat of that tree, you'll die, what could that have meant to Eve? Nobody had ever died. If she's the first female, if those who are literal, nobody had even ever lived before. So she wasn't threatened by dying, but she was intrigued by becoming like God. So women, the female Eve, who's gotten a bad rap all this time, really was the one who pursued God and was interested in God or the divine in a way that Adam wasn't. And she produced the intelligence and the entrance. She ate from the tree of the knowledge, which means science, of good and evil. And then the angels, then the gods said, now they have become like us, knowing, not believing, knowing. There's a difference in believing and know. You believe what you're taught and told, but you know what your soul and your cells remember. I think we come here knowing, and as you've heard me say, between the womb and the tomb, we go through this amnesia and we forget what we know. And we start believing what we're told, and that's what screws us up. So now we're coming to the information, knowledge era, when knowledge is everywhere. We're having to confront not just what we believe, but what we know. It's like we know we're okay, but we don't believe it. Yeah. We know we're secure and we're productive and we're healthy and happy and whole, but we don't believe it because we're taught something different. So people are now being confronted with knowledge. It's very, very powerful.
We're going to need a stadium to rent it out so you can start your first lesson on teaching the world on how to rethink God and religion.
Yes. Which is what repent means.
And we're going to start it here because we're going to ask Carlton if he'll come back.
Oh, yeah. You know I'll come back.
Okay, because we want you to come back, if not this month, the 1st of June.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that. But we definitely want to have Bishop Carlton Pearson to join us again because, as I promised, he's so informative. He just adds so much life to the conversation that he brings, so much truth. And so we definitely want you to come back.
We're going to start a tour.
Start a tour?
Start a tour and get a bigger place, at least rent out a football.
Pam been saying that forever.
Rent out a football stadium so you can teach the world.
Yes.
Ed always inspires me. Thank you. He believes in me more than I believe in me. Thank you, Ed.
Well, it's real.
I know what you're capable of.
That's right.
I know what you're capable of. You tell the truth, it's starting to be addictive.
And it's always so spiritual and then he adds that little humor in it. But yeah, we're so glad that you joined us.
Thank you.
You know, the time is always running out when you're having fun. But one of the quick things that I want to ask you, before we close, what is your take on what's going on with everything in India?
Well,
It's almost
here's what I'm suspicious of. Whoever the cabal is that wants to control the population, India has billions of people, I think 2 billion or something like that. They don't care about who they kill over there. And I think that's calculated. People who can live off less than $1 a year, certain people in this country, and they've talked about cutting the population down to 700 million from 8 billion. And so those numbers they're giving us, I promise you, are inaccurate. Far more people are dying in India and China and sub-Saharan countries right now, Africa, because there is a cabal, whoever these people are, secret societies, they want to cut the population down, and they're doing it. This COVID is, because this is global, so they have a good excuse to kill people. But the media tells us what they want us to know. They give us the numbers. How can you say we're in the worst state financially than we've ever been, and yet there's 4 million less homes available for people to buy? I was at the furniture store last week. That store was crawling with people, blacks, whites, Asians. I mean, people are buying furniture, buying homes, buying cars, and yet they're telling us that we don't have money. So you can't trust precisely what the media tells you. You have to go with your guts. People are being forced to be more discerning, more intuitive, more spiritual, in touch with your inner self, because that's where truth lives. It's not in the sounds we hear outside all the time. So what's happening in India, I think, is part of the plan to cut the population down. And they've been saying on some of the news reports that these numbers are much smaller. They're giving us much more conservative numbers than the number who are really dying over there.
Wow. Now, do you think that with everything starting to open up, like in New York, do you think, although a lot of people are vaccinated, do you feel that there still might be opening up a little soon?
Yes. Yeah. In a few weeks or months, there's going to be another crash, I think. A lot of people are going to get sick again. That may be part of the plan. I hate to say that because it sounds very suspicious of the government, very distrustful, but I am suspicious and distrustful because there's some power-hungry people who don't care about people. The first time I heard the word poor white trash was from wealthy white people. Wow. Guys would never say that. So the rich people feel blessed, and they think poor people are cursed. We always say it's racism, but it isn't just racism. Rich people very often, and I know rich people, so I don't want to make them look all bad, but the rich, the 1 percentile, they think they're the blessed people with the blue blood that comes from Christ. They think they're favored and that the rest of us are under a curse. So they don't mind killing us or starving us or treating us. And I'm not poor, but I came from a poor background, as both of you did. But we've achieved more. We're not rich, but we ain't poor. Things are never as bad as they seem, and they can always be worse. And they're never as good as they seem, and they can always be better. So we have to find that happy, holy medium, hope-filled medium in there. That's where many of us want to live. So there's a lot of vicious, careless, reckless behavior among very powerful people who simply do not care. And the universe herself is about to say enough is enough, and is shutting some of that. There are natural disasters. There's going to be an increased tension and occurrence of volcanoes and earthquakes over the next few months. Just mark my word. There's a group in this country who still believe that the election was fraudulent, and they're armed for battle. They're very angry. Arizona is recounting votes right now. If they find improprieties, and I hear that they might, it's going to breed even that much more distrust in the process. Who's powerful enough to mess with millions of votes? Biden's not that powerful. The Democratic Party itself, neither does the Republican Party. But there's some people somewhere who have their own agenda. And if it came out that millions of votes were fraudulent, it would further push us into distrust and suspicion and chaos. That violent mob that hit Washington on January 6th is the same spirit that hit Tulsa 100 years ago. Those people were armed for battle, and they were walking in there, and they were cooperating with governors, with senators, with military men and women. We're in a civil war right now in this country.
So we just have to just keep prayerful, and like you said, and go with your inner gut. Well, Carlton, we love and thank you for joining us. We got to move on because we have a show coming behind us. But we love you. We thank you, of course, for, again, enlightening us as you always have and always do. So I want to thank you, and we'll talk.
Well, the best is yet to come. It may get a little worse before it gets better. I want your audience to know. I don't want to sound pessimistic. We will turn this thing around. God has a plan, and we're all in it. So ultimately, we'll root out what doesn't belong, and our future is full of promise.
Yes. Thank you, Carlton.
I love y'all.
See you soon.
Send me some neck bones that's made of tofu. Bye. I love you.
We want to thank Carlton Bishop Pearson for joining us here at IntellectualRadio.com with Zemrah. Here's the Life with Zemrah and Ed. It's always a pleasure and joy to have him. He is such an awesome bishop.
Keep telling the truth.
And he really does. So join us next week. We have another wonderful show. We talk about money next week. We got some another special
money,
guest
real
joining
money.
us. We're gonna talk money.
That's stuff that we still chasing.
Again, we want to thank Earl, our producers, for setting this up for us and making it so wonderful, so we could be able to see Carlton. That was awesome.
We made it happen.
So, say what you say.
That's
and
right,
we
baby.
out.
I want to thank Wanda and Earl for letting me be myself again.
Stay tuned for our next show. Thank you.
I really want to call him to explain his journey, who he was, before we got stuck up.
Well, we didn't do that. We're having to do that next time. Yeah,
A lot of people don't know who Carlton is.
a lot of people do. I got one girl I work with follows him. Yeah, they do. That you're free.
Oh, who's coming up?
I couldn't think of the show.
What's the name of the show? What's the name of the show?
Front line.
Yeah, front line.